Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me today at the WordPress Colombo Meetup for August 2020. The topic for today, like Muhsin said, is WordPress on the Jamstack. So, yes, you can follow me on Twitter at Muhsin LK. It's Naveed. So, I am the host as well. So, once the attendees come in, I have to admit them. So, since it's after some time, we are trying with Google Meet. Hello, welcome, Naveed, and let me continue. Right. So, WordPress on the Jamstack. And a little bit about me. My name is Muhsin, and I work as senior React developer at Articam. We are a WordPress VIP Gold partner agency. So I like photography and also going for long walks along the beach. I like to play as well with my nephews, and also I like to go for walks like in Colombo. So Sri Lanka is a very beautiful country, and I like to explore and make the most of the beauty of the country. So let me quickly accept. Okay. So I'll keep the screen perhaps like this, since we are getting attendees often. So otherwise I have to switch on and off from the Google Meet. So yeah, so any apologies in advance for any hiccups that we may have, since we are just restarting the event here. So let's come back to the topic of WordPress on the Jamstack, and let me start with a brief history. So the brief history here is going to be about how WordPress, which started off as a standalone monolithic content management system, became an API for Jamstack sites. So it started with, I think, the REST API in 2016. So WordPress 4.7 had the WordPress REST API baked into WordPress core. So before that, we had the REST API as a WordPress plugin. So once this came and merged into WordPress core, it gave us all sorts of possibilities for us to have WordPress as an API for Jamstack sites, or any sites like a mobile application or any server-rendered React application, and so on. And with that, yes, so merged into 4.7, and that's began the WordPress as a headless CMS trend. And now we could, like I said, we could use the whole WordPress parts of WordPress via the REST API instead of using the whole WordPress, which is relatively slower than using the REST API. So REST is great, but we also had some drawbacks of REST API, such as being slightly slower, and also it gave us more data than we needed and sometimes less data than we needed. So that was costing us some bandwidth through the wire, and which is not ideal for the environment. And also, like, it needs multiple requests to maybe fetch the post and the author details and maybe the featured image. So that itself will require about 3 requests. And that is when we had the GraphQL. So with GraphQL, it's a query language, and with GraphQL, you ask for what you need and you get exactly that. And as opposed to WordPress, the GraphQL has a single endpoint where you can get all the API, the data in one single endpoint. So let's talk a little bit about WP GraphQL here. So WP GraphQL is still a plugin. So it is a plugin that exposes WordPress data as a GraphQL schema. So it is a plugin, like I said, and it's created by Jason Wall. And yeah, so and this plugin, this WordPress plugin, can be extended by other plugins that connect to it. So for example, the WordPress GraphQL plugin will have the core WordPress data in it. And if you want to have something like WooCommerce as a GraphQL schema, you would install a plugin like WooGraphQL or WooCommerce for GraphQL to get the WooCommerce data in the as GraphQL schema. And now let's come back to the topic of today, which is Jamstack. I'm not sure if you have heard of Jamstack. So Jamstack is something more modern. Perhaps you would have heard of something like the LAMP stack or the mean stack. So Jamstack actually was originated a few years back, and it was made popularized by the company Netlify. And yes, so let me read this sentence. Fast and secure sites and apps delivered by pre-rendering files and serving them directly from a CDN, removing the requirement to manage or run web servers. So in this, maybe it was a mouthful, but this sentence means that we do not have a live connection to a server. So when you had a traditional WordPress site, we had WordPress on a Apache host or an Nginx server. So on that, your text was rendered by Apache using PHP and MySQL. So the main difference here is that with a Jamstack site, there is no server there, in the sense that there is no server-side language that is being handled at runtime. So with Jamstack sites, all the data from the server or the database is pre-built into static files and stored in a CDN. So when you access these, it's much faster to access Jamstack websites. So Jam stands for JavaScript, APIs, and markup. So JavaScript here because all the programming happens using the language which is JavaScript. So such as like when you hit the page, it uses JavaScript, and if it needs any requests, it makes them through the APIs and gets it for you. And markup here means that the markup for this page is already built, pre-built. So that's why JavaScript, APIs, and markup, therefore Jam. So let's talk a little bit about static site generation. So this term means we have the content and we have the template. So the content can be something like WordPress. It can be XML, it can be REST API, it can be GraphQL, it can even be like a Google Sheet, or even it like pretty much anything that has an API can be the content. And you can build your template with React. So once with React, for example, or any other language, so that is combined using a static site generator to give you a static site. So let's talk a little bit about the different static site generators that we have. So Gatsby has been popular lately, and along with Gatsby we have Static, that is doing a great job as well. And Frontity is actually dedicated to WordPress. So Frontity has been very popular and is somewhat very closely related to WordPress. Yeah, so this is Frontity, and it uses the REST API, and it's very easy to configure Frontity. So Gatsby uses GraphQL in the data layer, and Static has a whole different approach where they static. So they make your WordPress site static. So they have their own stack for this. And Next.js is a very popular React framework from the company Zeit, which is now Vercel. So you may be hearing lots of terms here, but if you need anything in specific, you can leave your question in the comment section, or we can leave it at the end of the session. So these are like 4 maybe new names for you, or maybe you have already heard them. So Frontity is something that is very much in close relation to WordPress. And then we have Gatsby, which is a static site generator, so which uses React and GraphQL. And then we have Static from the company Static, and then we have Next.js, a very popular React framework. So these frameworks can connect to WordPress through these connection APIs. So it can either use the REST API here, or you can use the WP GraphQL plugin for connecting to the WordPress. So WordPress is still at the center, and so the connection is made through GraphQL or REST API, and the template is actually built using Frontity, Gatsby, Static, or Next.js. Great. So why would you use the Jamstack? So like if you consider a particular technology stack, there should be 2 reasons for considering. Either you save money because of using a particular technology stack, or you make a profit and huge amount of cash for that considering. So that's how companies usually think, either save money or earn money. So let us think why you should consider the Jamstack. So first of all, when you use the Jamstack, they are all blazing fast by default. All the applications or the software systems, and they are very secure because, like I mentioned, they are all static files. They do not have a live endpoint, a live connection to a server or a database like MySQL. So it's very hard to hack it relatively. And yeah, so the third point is that they are all the names I'm mentioning today are all free and open source. So yeah, free as in what you get for free. So not like, yeah, like you get it for free, and you also have the freedom to fork it and use it for yourself. So developer experience and tooling is great for all these applications, as opposed to the previous stacks like the lamp stack that we would have had, where you would have had to debug a lot of PHP or even Apache issues. So the content mesh is something that was popularized by Gatsby, where you can use multiple services for getting data from multiple sources. And the last and it's also like very easy for you to learn React and GraphQL, because these classes of sites make it very beginner friendly and make it easy for you to learn React and GraphQL. And also the developer experience, like I said earlier, is very friendly to even newcomers. And also, like you get perfect lighthouse when you use these technologies. Like if you use Frontity or Gatsby, you get a very good SEO, and you can actually get 100% across the board with relative ease on the Lighthouse Go. Yeah, that you can get using the Chrome developer tools. So let's talk a little bit about React. Most of the WordPress folks are very familiar with React. So let me just mention this quote from the founder of Vercel, which he said was React is Legos for adults. So React is a technology that can help you to get started with something small, like building a very small toy in Lego, to building something very complex, like building a castle in Lego. Like there are folks who have made very big structures using Lego. So I think it's a great analogy for React, where you can start off with something small, and as you work through your skills and your experience, you build a very great applications. Yeah, and work on great applications as well. Like the Gutenberg is built on React, for example. So GraphQL, I already said about this. So let me quickly go through them. You can ask what you need, and it's an alternative to REST API, and it has a single endpoint, and you get all the required data in one single endpoint, and it's created by Facebook. Yeah, and it's now open source. So I just wanted to point out. So here, sorry. So we have WordPress. So we have WordPress, and with WordPress you can use REST API or WP GraphQL to use Frontity at the front end, or Gatsby at the front end, or Next.js at the front end, or even static, to get a really great experience which you would love. So I think it gives you a great experience which you would definitely love. So the 3 wins here. When you have these Jamstack for WordPress, you have these wins. So first of all, you would have heard about Gutenberg. That is the block editor that is in WordPress core, which came in WordPress 5.0. So with Gutenberg, you get a fantastic editor for a really amazing writing experience. So I enjoy writing with Gutenberg. It's a real pleasure to write using Gutenberg. Yeah, so you can build your template using your modern or your favorite developer tools like React and GraphQL, and then you get a blazing fast website. So I think these 3 wins are really how can I say, useful for 3 classes of people. So the first of all, the Gutenberg editor is going to be really useful for content creators, and the second benefit is going to be really useful for the developers, and the last is for the end users. So it's a win-win-win situation. So let's go through a quick demo here. I'll show how to start a Frontity project as a demo. First of all, let me introduce you to Frontity. Frontity is a React framework for WordPress. So this is created by the good folks from Frontity from Spain, and it's very simple to get started with Frontity. So if you see here, like so with Frontity, you do npx as long as you have installed Node and npm. You type in npx Frontity create and the name of your project, and you navigate to the project and you do npx Frontity dev. So that's something I just did it before the call. So I'm gonna quickly show you. So after I did, it comes like this, and it loads your site on localhost 3000. So this is the actual project. All you have to do is you have already configured the 2020. You can get the 2020 theme. All you have to do is have the site find. So have your WordPress site that is located on the internet to this. So once you point to this, it will get all the data from WordPress. So if you see here, it's actually coming from my WordPress site. So you can see like the WordPress site takes some time to load, and if I am to click on this link, it takes 1 and 2 and about 3 seconds to or even 4 seconds to navigate to the page. And let me compare it. So this is the article. So let me compare it to here. So I'm going to click on this, and I click it, and it's already there. So that is the power of Frontity. It is much more powerful than, in the sense that it's much more performant than a standard WordPress instance. So I just wanted to show you Frontity as an example. I would encourage you, among the software that I told about today, I would encourage you to use Frontity because it is closely in line with WordPress, because they have built it from the ground up for WordPress development. So there are a few other projects that I can show you as well. So these are the 3 commands to set up a Frontity project. So you should definitely try it out. Yeah, so this is one more example that we created at Articam. So I work for Articam, and this is something that we built using for Articam as a proof of concept. So you can definitely check it out. It's also free, but the full disclosure is that I work for Articam and I was involved with this project. So let me quickly show you this project. So with this, project, we built a Next.js application as an e-commerce application. So you can use the products to add it to the cart, and you can go to the cart. Yeah, you can modify the product quantity. You can go to the home page. Yeah, it's actually a PWA, progressive web app. So it actually works offline as well. It's still a proof of concept. Like you can see the application actually working offline. So you can actually add it to cart offline, and so once you come online, okay. So we also, yeah. So this is something that we have developed as part of Articamp as a proof of concept. So if you are interested, this is the link to check out the project. And then this is something similar that one of my colleagues, Sagar, did for Gatsby. So Gatsby and WooCommerce is this project. And then this is my site. If you're interested, it's again open source. You can check it out. I have built search functionality as well. So if you want, so this is something that is a little advanced, where you can actually search for an article. Let's say you want to search about Gutenberg. So I can get the result and directly go. So this uses a live connection to the WordPress server using Apollo GraphQL, and next to it is something. It's something a simplified version of the previous site. So you can use all these projects to learn for yourself and how these things can be developed. This is a simplified version, which is a Gatsby site using Apollo for live connection. And also, I have added comments to it. So what we covered today. So we spoke about these things. Jamstack, and how we can use WordPress with the Jamstack, and yeah, so we spoke about the REST API, we spoke about WP GraphQL, and we saw a very small demo just to get started with Frontity, and then some examples that I showed. So the different examples do different things, like use Next.js or Gatsby with WordPress for via the WP GraphQL. So yeah, so let us spread the goodness of decoupled WordPress. And this is a hobby project that I created for anyone who wants to learn decoupled WordPress or get into decoupled WordPress. You can click on this and see find resources around decoupled WordPress for your learning. So there is article, there are videos, and there is also code for you to try for yourself. So let me see. So thank you very much for having me today. It was a pleasure talking to you. I'm gonna see if you have any questions next. And yes, we are hiring at Articam. If you are interested in working on really cool WordPress projects, including decoupled projects like the ones I showed, feel free to click on rt.camp/join, or you can also contact me if you're interested. Yeah, so yeah, again, thank you very much. And you can follow me on Twitter at MuhsinLK if you have any other questions. After this, if you think of any questions that you may want to ask me. So let me get back to screen and see if anyone has any questions. Yes. Okay, cool. So looks like no one has any questions yet. So if anyone wants,
but let's open it up for questions.
Exactly.
On voice.
You can exactly. You can, if you have any questions on that you talk to me, you can unmute yourself, or you can feel free to ask me, or even ask Mahangu, of course.
Hi guys.
Hi.
Yeah, I just checked your website. With the,
Okay.
Yeah, technology. We discussed that. Yeah, that looks like pretty fast and really
Thank
good.
you. Thanks.
So I'm gonna try it, and yeah, last question.
Great. Yes, feel free. Yes, definitely try it out. So the GitHub link is there as well. If I can share the GitHub link again. It's on. I'll share the GitHub link on the chat so that you can easily access the GitHub link. So feel free to try it out.
Yes. Also, I think since like that WooCommerce experience also I think enhanced with that Jamstack and that.
Exactly. Yes.
It
exactly.
Showed me it's really nice because that real-time syncing with that cart when we update the cart total updates quickly.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, thanks. It really helps give a fast experience, because one of the reasons for a WooCommerce site success is speed. So the how quickly we can get the user from adding to the cart to checking out, the better for us. So I think Amazon did an experience very long ago, about 10 years back, where they reduced the speed of Amazon.com by 100 milliseconds, and they saw a drop in revenue by 1%. So that's a huge drop for Amazon. So yes, I agree with you about that.
Yes, definitely. Because when we change the cart total, we don't have to press on the update cart anymore.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Thanks for sharing those examples.
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, no, sorry, Yasiru, go ahead. Yasiru, you had a question.
Hello, Mohammed.
Hi. Yes.
Many thanks for your very insightful session. So,
thank you.
I would like to mention the tools out there to those who are familiar with the Vue ecosystem. So there are mainly two, according to my knowledge. So there are two the popular framework out there. So one is Nuxt.js. It's for the server-side rendering things. Another one is Gridsome. Gridsome is for static site generation. I have little experience with Gridsome, so it is very good tool because it uses the GraphQL data layer. So when the build time, it load all the data to the JSON, and it have the GraphQL data layer to access all the data. So, do you have any thought about the tools
Yeah,
available in Vue ecosystem? So, Vue is very popular
yeah,
these days.
yeah. Yes, yes, I agree. Those are really great tools. So it's like this. So Gritsum can be compared to Gatsby with React. So Vue has Gritsum and React has Gatsby, and similarly, Vue has Nuxt.js and React has Next.js. So very similar ecosystems in both the two what do you call, libraries or frameworks. Personally, I haven't explored Nuxt or Gritsum because I code in React mostly. But yes, I agree. Both are learning from each other in the sense that Vue is learning from React and React is learning from Vue. And similarly, Gritsum is learning from Gatsby and Gatsby is learning from Gritsum and so on. But yes, they are all great frameworks. It's just that I haven't tried the Vue ecosystem myself yet. But definitely, I would encourage a Vue developer to try these technologies. And I haven't explored how they are working with WordPress, but they should work because the underlying technology is very similar, REST API or GraphQL. So it shouldn't be too hard to make them work with Vue or Nuxt or even Gritsum. Yes, thanks for your comment because they're still very similar frameworks. Like I just mentioned. Thanks for your suggestion there.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thanks. Yes. Does anyone have any questions? So feel free to open up your mic and chat with us. We just concluded the session, but if you have anything to add or discuss or like debate if I say something wrong, feel free to unmute yourself and just we can just have a casual conversation.
Yeah. I actually have a question. Like, let's say there was somebody who was like very new to all this, like I am, and if we wanted to host our personal site,
Yes.
so maybe using Frontity, what's the host you'd recommend? Like, is it like maybe a EC2 instance, or like what would you recommend for that?
Okay. So I would suggest something free, and it's called Vercel. Vercel was Zeit earlier, and they are the folks behind Next.js. So they received a ton of funding recently, and they have changed the name to Vercel, and funding from great folks like Naval. So you should definitely host it on Vercel because it's free for hobby projects. Like my Muhammad dev that I showed you is hosted on Vercel, and I haven't paid any money hosting that. It's free for hobby projects and for I think they allow 100 builds per day. So for your personal site, it would definitely not pass that limit. So you definitely check out Vercel, and it's free. And yeah, if you so that I just want to add, like Vercel, if you have any server side rendered, and if you have something that is fully static like Gatsby, you can go for Netlify. Again, I'll share the Netlify link as well. So Netlify is also again free for small scale projects, so you can try one of the two. And the main difference is that Vercel is for something that needs a server or even serverless, and Netlify is for something that is fully on the static files or CDN related. Both are great.
Cool, thank you. Any other questions from people? Okay. Yeah. So I think we can wrap then.